Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a very special episode celebrating Eid al-Adha feast, the Greater Baram feast in Egypt. Wishing you all the best festivities and the best wishes for a very nice holiday. In tonight's show, we're going to be focusing on the Decent Life Initiative, what has been achieved so far, the goal of eliminating all poverty, eliminating the hardships for the Egyptian citizen, targeting over 4,000 villages all over the country, affecting about 60 million Egyptian citizens. We're going to be looking at the initiative, what has been achieved so far, and what we are hoping to achieve in the very near future. And joining us here tonight in the studio to shed more light on this topic, we're joined by Dr. Emad Adly, the chairperson of the Egyptian Sustainable Development Forum. Dr. Adly, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you very much, sir. Dr. Adly, before we start our conversation, let's check out this report regarding the Decent Life Foundation, which actually distributed 60,000 boxes of food products to many of the needy citizens within the low-income bracket. Let's check out this report and we'll be right back.
On the occasion of Eid al-Adha celebrations, which end on Tuesday, the Decent Life Initiative distributed 60,000 boxes loaded with foodstuffs for needy citizens around the country, within the framework of the ongoing efforts to help Egyptians, especially amid soaring prices. The boxes were distributed within the Wasl al-Khair initiative, which sends free food items in different governorates. The foundation said it will move ahead with its efforts to help people, enlisting support from grassroots associations all around the country. It highlighted its belief in the importance of its social role towards vulnerable Egyptians. The foundation said it plays this role in partnership with the concerned authorities on the road to supporting these groups. Thousands of volunteers operate within the initiative, which was launched at the directives by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to relieve financial and economic burdens on the poor across the nation. The Decent Life Foundation has launched the 1 million food boxes campaign, through which it wants to give food aid in different governorates. Minister of Supply and Internal Trade Alim Sulhi said the state had contacted purchasing large numbers of livestock to secure meat for citizens and keep prices stable during Al-Eid. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli said the Decent Life presidential initiative is rebuilding the country and that its costs currently exceed 800 billion Egyptian pounds. Madbouli also said working in each village in the initiative is a challenge in itself because the villages were initially established without much planning. He explained the cost of replanning is 3 times more than starting work on empty land, but there's no alternative to implementing the project. He also noted the project creates millions of job opportunities for young people who are forced to travel, whether to major cities or abroad, in search of job opportunities. He pointed out the unemployment rate has decreased despite the population increase, thanks to projects that have created job opportunities that currently stand at 7.5%.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Starting off our discussion with Dr. Adly right away. Now, Doctor, in light of the festivities and the Greater Baram feast, the Decent Life Foundation distributed 60,000 boxes of food products to the needy citizens, and it really sheds a light on the Decent Life initiative as a whole. Now, this is an initiative, a project that is dubbed to be the project of the century, really trying to change the way the country looks, change the way over 60 million citizens living all over Egypt in the different villages and countryside. Now, since it was first inaugurated and started, this initiative, how much do you feel has been achieved so far, and how big of a task is it to really change over 4,000 villages all over the country?
First of all, we have to admit that having the idea itself, it's itself an achievement. Mm-hmm. To think this way and to think about 4,000 villages that are always suffering of all the different socio-economic, environmental, developmental problems. And you start thinking about how you can provide them even the title, the decent life. Decent life, you know, is everything. Decent life is, you know, about education. Decent life is about health. Decent life about, transportation. Decent life about agriculture. About irrigation. Decent life about my job. Decent life about my future. Decent life about my family. So once you start thinking about establishing a decent life for the people who are needy, needy people in your country, this is in itself a big achievement. A big achievement that right now I know that the experiment, the exercise has been also taken seriously by the United Nations to look at it and to see how this could be transferred to other countries. A project, or it's not a project, it's a program. It is, it's a big issue. It's not. So the idea is really very, I would say, excellent in the way that it took the different aspects of the villagers' life from the different, as I said, education, health, transportation, livelihoods, and so on. So in itself, it started to achieve, at least the people feel like they are, first of all, they are respected by their government, they're respected by the system, and the government, and by the state in a whole. And it's also that they are not left out. You know, the whole idea of no one is left behind. Yes. Is what we are doing in the Decent Life program. Because you are thinking about everyone. It's not only, we are, it has been always the cities are more attractive, and this is why people are, migrating from rural areas to urban areas. This is why we are talking about urbanization, that, it's getting and exceeding, the records that has been, always people think that it will never happen. So by providing this kind of services and bringing back the village into this decent place to live, this will definitely decrease the pressure that you have on your cities and your urban areas. You will find again, and you'll bring back the value of farming, the value of the village, the value of the family, the value. So this is all the social aspects that are coming out of this exercise. So the achievement is going, and it's not only blah blah blah, or what do you call it, talks and without action, but it is real. It's real because the investment, we hear that is getting into 800 billion Egyptian pounds. This is more than 40, almost 50 billion US dollars. And it's going at the same time everywhere, going from one place to another. So all the people are seeing, it's something tangible. You are not telling them, oh, I'm going to help you and I'm going to give you advices and I give you. No, you are getting into the problems and you are putting investment and changing. And The 60,000 boxes, maybe we are talking about 60 million people who are going to benefit from the, so 60,000 from the 60 million, this is almost 1 per thousand. But in reality, it's also, also it gives a model that we are not only thinking about the infrastructure, but we are thinking about the human being. So this is also the very important part of the role that the foundation is doing, the Decent Life Foundation, that it's not that we are only thinking about, upgrading, because people were thinking only that it's going, as we see most of the time, new school, new roads, and covering and the canals and so on. But in reality, it's about the human being.
Yes.
Your target is the human being. Your target is the people. So you are thinking about how you make them happier than before. So everything related to happiness, for people to be happy, and they start to love more their place and to be attached to their village and attached to their family. I think this is what we need out of this project, and this is what we are achieving, and I hope that we will achieve more, inshallah.
Yes. Well, Doctor, you've mentioned the different things that the Decent Life Initiative is working on. You spoke about the infrastructure, the health, the education, the job opportunities, agriculture, securing really the safety and the future of the Egyptian families within all these villages, 4,658 villages. So what do you think is the most difficult to achieve out of all these things? Is it the infrastructure? Because as we've seen in the report, a lot of these villages were just established randomly with no real planning. Or is it providing the health benefits and the health coverage for all these millions of people? Or is it the education, trying to educate the citizens there, provide them with good education that would develop them for a future that is really way ahead of many of the villages that we are witnessing?
The most expensive part, from my point of view, is the most easiest one. So when you are investing in the infrastructure, you have with the engineers we have, and the universities, or with all the experts we have in our universities, all the problems of the locations, the establishment, you can find solutions very easy with the technology. And it will be expensive, of course, because you need to invest a lot. But of course, it has its, the very bright side of it. But the first time I heard about the initiative, about the Decent Life Initiative, my eyes were always thinking about or looking at how we are going to change the human, how we are going to invest in the human beings and the people themselves. This is the most important thing, because if you build what you are going to build, you invest in this infrastructure and the hardware. As much as you invest in the hardware, the most important thing, the software that is going to keep and maintain the hardware. So to keep the school as is, and to keep the road as is, and to keep the canal as is, and to keep agriculture, you need to invest in, and this might be not the expensive one, but the most difficult one, and the one that needs more effort. It needs more of strategic planning on how you are going to do this. So you need a very good education system, and when you talk about education, you are not talking about the building and the schools, nice schools, nice desks. You are talking about the teacher, the formal, not only the curriculum, but also the non-formal activities, the informal education, how you are going to establish activities within the school, and outside the school more than inside the school, how you are going to establish this link between the community development and the school, and how you can make the sense of ownership of the village among the children, that they feel like this is our village and we are going to take care of it and we are going to upgrade it. And if we are having that, we can have ideas. You can get innovative ideas, more innovative ideas from the children that you did not get from experts from the universities, but if you give them the chance. So if you invest in the teacher, if you invest in the system inside the school, you are going to win, and you are going to get the fruits out of this. So I think the most important part from my point of view is how we are going to invest in the population and the people themselves, because they are the ones who are going to protect, conserve, upgrade, and also innovate.
Yes. Dr. Adly, now speaking of these villages and working on the software, the Egyptian citizens, now the phases of this initiative, the first phase was targeting the villages with about, targeting 70%, villages with 70% of a poverty rate. The second phase would be 50 to 70, and the third phase would be 50% and lower. Now, how big of a challenge to really lift all these Egyptian citizens and push them towards a better standard of living, more of a decent life, giving them the sort of education and the vocational training, as you've mentioned, allowing them into the market, giving them job opportunities. How much of a task is it, and what are we doing, what is the initiative doing to try and eliminate the poverty rates and the poverty levels within these villages?
First of all, we have to recognize and also to learn from the lessons that we have also got from other experiences, that you cannot do this without having a full partnership between the different actors at the same time. So and I said that to all the people I met from the initiative, from the Ministry of Planning and from other sectors as well. You have to bring, we have to change the idea of that we are serving the community and they are receiving, this kind of services. But I want them to be part of the whole process. So they feel, as I said it before, the ownership of not only the ownership of the result, but the ownership of the design, the ownership of the implementation, the ownership of even the mistakes. So, because nothing will be perfect.
Yes.
There will be definitely some mistakes. But if you bring them from the beginning, and the discussions, and the dialogue, and the design process, and the implementation process, you are definitely building this kind of secure system to make this project always successful and happening. So even talking about education or talking about job creation, you have to do this while you are bringing the civil society the community-based organizations, the NGOs, Gamayat, associations. You bring the young people, you bring women from the countries, from the villages, and you have to make them always feel like, we are doing this together. So this is the way that will make the challenge much easier and will make the results more achievable. So this is what I think about, and this is why in the whole process of sustainable development, it has been, a fact that everywhere, that without having this good governance while you are implementing any project, and it is not that it's from, that you are doing it from as a giving. No, it is that we are doing this together. So doing this together will be the safety and the insurance for the sustainability of what we are doing, and also for achieving better results than even what we were putting in the beginning of as expected results at the beginning when the initiative was created or was even just an idea.
Yes.
So this is where I think that full partnership between the different actors, and each one has to have the role and responsibilities very clear. So this mandate of and the role of the different partners, this will be also, first of all, will make it very easy to move from one place to another successfully, and second, will keep the sustainability for a very long period.
Yes. Well, as you've mentioned, trying to get the citizens of the countryside, the citizens of these villages, being in the design, in the planning, in the process, to have this sort of sense of entitlement and empowerment and ownership of this process. How receptive are the citizens of these villages to this process? Do they come up with good ideas? Are they accepting different ideas? Are they accepting a change in the lifestyle that they've been used to for decades, maybe even throughout their whole lives? How responsive are the citizens of the countryside?
Very, very impressive, because we are, it's very obvious. We are building a confidence that was not there for a long time. So confidence building is something that no one can deny it.
Yes.
Once you have the confidence, it's over. It's done. So they have always heard, and it's even in our drama, you look at the villages and the old drama, and you see, how people are living in this, and then the only thing that you think about it, that how people will be moving from this place to go to another better, lifestyle. So the confidence building process has been already established. And once you have this confidence, the people will definitely find that it's our life. We have to think about it, and we have to be part of it. So maybe they were not believing that it will happen. Maybe they thought that it's only, mouth, lip
Just
service, lip service. So so it's not anymore lip servicing, but it's real. It is. They see how much they understand that it's a very expensive solution, and they see that the government is helping them, and there is perseverance about it. It's not like we are going to examine it in 1 or 2 villages or in a number of villages, and then we think and we test it if it is okay. No, it is going on this very wide scale, and it is going as it was promised, and it is clear for everyone, so you can see it with your eyes. So what you need more? So once the people feel, and the Egyptian citizens are very smart. Once they believe in their leaders and their partners, they become very cooperative. And I have in most of the projects I went through and I implemented, I was always playing on, the card was building the confidence with the target groups. Once they find that you are serious, you are committed, you are honest, they give you all the support you need. And this is what we need from the initiative, and I think the initiative is achieving it very well.
Yes. Well, you've mentioned, I mean, it's costing about 700 to 800 billion Egyptian pounds, dubbed to be the biggest project of the century, or the biggest project of Egypt's modern history. Now, you've mentioned the role being played by the government, by the actual citizens themselves, NGOs and different associations and civil societies. And what about the private sector? How big of a role can the private sector play in such a huge initiative? Not just, I'm not just talking about financing, but using the expertise, using the know-how, using the latest technologies. How much should the private sector be involved in such a huge initiative?
The private sector has a very crucial role to play, because once you are going to develop the villages, you need also to bring these villages to be productive villages. And so you have to think about, you have to change your scope, and also the way you target for the business.
Yes.
So if you have the young people, and you have good schools, and you have good infrastructure, so what do you need? You need to invest and to get the benefit out of this.
Yes.
So this is why the private sector has to change also the model that they have used to invest in cities, and you have to think in a different way how you are going. For example, if I tell you about One example that's very close to my heart, solar energy, for example. If I start to think about how I invest as business sector in establishing small companies and small businesses in the different villages on the use of the solar energy in these villages, this will definitely be win-win for everyone. But you have to be smart in doing this, and to be thinking about how you are going to to attract the people to your idea, and also young people to be involved and to be working with that. So there are many. We're talking about solid waste management, so you have also, this has to be managed in most of the case by the small businesses and private sector. If you are talking about modern irrigation, so again the private sector can find. So talking about energy, talking about irrigation, agriculture, even at the education system, there are many areas for the private sector to find doors for investment and for getting benefits and gaining more, of course, because the private sector is always
looking for profit as well.
Yeah, profit. So if it is not profitable, but this is how it's going to be smart ideas. And I think now, while we are preparing for the climate COP27, we will hear. It was already mentioned in the last few days, but I'm sure after the feast vacation we are going to hear about a new initiative that is going to establish a kind of, I wouldn't say competition, because this is the idea that came from Dr. Mahmoud Mahiddin. It's not going to be a competition, but it will be a kind of, I would say, the ground for all the governorates to think about how they could be innovative in bringing and putting on the table some good projects to be for investment from the different governorates. And we will see in September, examples coming from all the governorates on how they are thinking about, investment in their governorate. So this is who is going to do this? Private sector, investors, those who are going to take these projects and start to work on them. So once you see what they call it bankable project means that you put money, you get your profit back. So I think there are many good ideas, and in this case, the rural areas, the villages, these villages who were suffering for so many years, they will become now areas of or interest points for the private sector to invest.
Yes, definitely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Egypt, the government and the presidency, along with many countries and many foreign investors, will be focusing on the sustainability of it and the latest that could be presented in terms of opportunities by the Decent Life Initiative, by all the governorates, as Dr. Adly has mentioned, and President Sisi has been really following up with the developments taking place in the initiative. Let's check out this report and we'll be right back.
President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi is keen to follow up projects established by the Decent Life Initiative around the country. Recently, President el-Sisi met with the Prime Minister, Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, and the Minister of Housing, Utilities and Urban Communities, Asim al-Ghazar, to discuss the Ministry of Housing projects within the Decent Life Initiative. The President directed that cooperation and coordination be continued between relevant state agencies to implement the various national projects related to the Decent Life Initiative to develop the Egyptian countryside. His Excellency also called for the following up on its status on a regular basis and adhering to the time frame set. The projects will contribute to the improvement of all aspects of citizens' livelihood in the countryside across Egypt. Moreover, the projects are expected to play an important role in providing more job opportunities for residents of the targeted areas. Minister Ghazar outlined that the ministry's efforts within the framework of the Decent Life Initiative Phase 1 projects nationwide, particularly in the sectors of sewage, water and treatment plants, are in addition to other service projects and the Decent Housing Project. Assistant to Minister of Planning and Economic Development, Gamil Hilmi, said that the Decent Life Initiative will be completed by 2025 at a cost that will near 1 trillion Egyptian pounds.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, continuing our discussion with Dr. Adly. Doctor, now we're talking about the Decent Life Initiative, but it's not just painting buildings and laying down and paving roads and sidewalks, but also you've mentioned the sustainability aspect of it and being the chairperson of the Egyptian Sustainable Development Forum. Now, does it make it harder or more difficult to try and reimagine and rebuild these lives, these villages, not in the traditional way that we're used to for many decades, but in a sustainable manner? Because now the language and the talk is all about sustainable development, being environmentally friendly, green energy, renewable energy, solar, everything. So does it make it harder to actually achieve the goals of the Decent Life Initiative, trying to meet all these targets and these goals, or is it much easier and cheaper?
No, it's much easier and it's cheaper on the long term. Because if you bring everything together at the same time, for me, it is the best solution. But as I said, you have to bring all the actors, and you know, the roles and responsibilities are taken and divided on the different actors. My dream is that I have villages plastic free. This is my dream. If the Decent Life Initiative will endorse this idea, can you imagine 4,700 whatever villages without plastic? The plastic that we can see if you go by car and anywhere you find the plastic is flying everywhere. It's everywhere. So, and it's now, it's not a dream. It's something that it's happening everywhere now. So if I have the villages taking all the different aspects at the same time, so once you educate and you invest in capacity development of the people, this has to go at the same time with the infrastructure and with the hardware, as I said. So the software for me is the capacity development of the teacher, capacity development of the young employer in the local authority, capacity development for the guy who is collecting the garbage collector, the capacity development for the drivers, capacity development for everyone, capacity development for even the senior citizens. So we have to develop the capacities and to train and to build the capacities of all the different sector of the citizens at the same time. So there is a role for the media, there is a role for the schools, there is a role for the associations, Jama'iyat, the NGOs, there is a role for the private sector, there is a role for the local authority, there is a role for everyone. And, you know, we should not be shy about this. Get everything at the same time. Put everything on the table. There is no, it doesn't matter, you know, I'm not saying that we are going to achieve everything, but while I'm educate about everything. While you are developing the capacity, develop about all the good things, about all the things that we need to see our village is, you know, fulfilling and also enjoying that the village is. Why my village here in Egypt should be different from the village in Europe or the village in any city in a developed country? Why not? I'm not talking about you know, the expensive technology. I'm talking about the ideas, the mentality about, you know, the attitudes and behaviors. So I want to have our villages at the same level of any developed country from the behavior and attitudes. Of course, if I'm providing, before we were saying, oh, I cannot ask them not to throw their garbage in the street because there was no a solid waste system. But I am developing a solid waste system. So why not I can give all the, you know, the capacity development for the people and the, you know, education and the training for the people to do it correctly. So as I said, again, the software is very important to make the hardware more successful and sustainable. But as I said, we don't think only about how it looks like, the color, and the, you know, the window, how it looks like, but we have to think about all the different things together.
Yes. Dr. Adly, now you've spoken about the COP27 that will be held in November in Sharm el-Sheikh. Now, the whole country is preparing for this very prestigious conference, and the whole world is going to be looking at Egypt. And how, I mean, being the chairperson of the Egyptian Sustainable Development Forum, how is the forum what is the forum hoping to achieve from such a conference? What would the Decent Life Initiative be hoping to achieve and gain from hosting this conference? How can we benefit? It's not just a conference where everybody comes, looks nice and talks, but things are implemented on the ground, concrete steps, things that would really take the country forward. So what would it do for the Sustainable Development Forum? What would it do for the Decent Life Initiative, COP27?
Oh, big question. First of all, we have to understand that the COP is a political process in which, you know, all the parties, the governments who are part of the convention, the climate change, they come together, the treaty, and they come together and they discuss and negotiate. So one side of this that we want to achieve is to have Sharm el-Sheikh as a turning point, a milestone in bringing, you know, the climate change from just, you know, words into action, into implementation. So the most important thing that will appear at the global level, what we are going to, you know, to achieve on the negotiation table, and what the countries, the parties, you know, especially the developed countries, the rich countries, when they are going to agree on the adaptation, the financing for the climate finance, the adaptation support, the support for mitigation, and also on the loss and damage issue. So this is something. But for the other thing, how we are going to benefit out of this. So we have three things that, from my point of view, very simple. There are many, many things, but I'm going to put them in three categories. One category is how we are going to, with the diplomacy, we are going to take it safely with the organization and so on. And so people say, oh, Sharm el-Sheikh was a beautiful place. Organization, decisions, results, and everything. So this
green
is
city.
Yeah, and a green city. So this is one thing that, you know, we have a successful, and everyone has a very good memory of Sharm el-Sheikh, and it remains for decades that people were always thinking, remembering that this change happened in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. The second thing, how I'm going to show everyone what Egypt has been able to achieve so far in this area. So the Decent Life Initiative will be one of the things that people will learn about it. So it's also the visibility of the Egyptian achievements. So people will, it's not only the good experience of being inside the rooms, the meeting rooms, and also in a nice hotel, or to go and have some few days before or after the conference, enjoying the Sharm el-Sheikh as a touristic place. But again, how we are going, the visibility of how Egypt as a country is successful and is trying the best to make this country better and better and better. So we have also to show the cases of our achievements. So the Egyptian Sustainable Development Forum is going to try to show this, and the same will be, of course, at the government level from to show the Decent Life Initiative results. The third thing, which is the most important one, how we are going to gain out of this as Egyptians, how we are going to work together on the challenges of the climate change. Because even if the conference is finished with good results, good recommendations, finance, technology, but at the end, we have to do this.
Yes.
Even if we have the money, we have to do it. If we have the technology, we have to use it. So at the end of the day, how we are going to, this is why I'm always saying that my target is not between the 6th and 18th of November, the dates of the conference. My target is what we are going to do on the 19th of November, starting 19th of November. So from the 19th of November, how the whole country will say, oh, we are different. This is a new Egypt. the Jamhuriya Jadida, the new republic, is going to be a reality in this case. The climate change issue, many people say, what is climate change? It's about everything. It's about food security, it's about water security, it's about our future, it's about our new generations, it's about young people, it's about, so how we are going to take this experiment together and say, oh, now Emad is not the same as Emad was before the 6th of November. Emad on the 19th of November is different. And everyone has to look at himself, everyone has to look at herself and say, I have to be a different person on the 19th of November because we are achieving something and we want all of us to be on the same level of achievement. So this is, the three areas that I wish that, the COP27 and also the Decent Life Initiative will continue and to be more, because we can think maybe the people in the cities will say, oh, we need also to have decent life.
Yes. Well, Dr. Adly, I mean, you've mentioned how big of a process it is and a complicated one as well, and definitely things need to be implemented day by day within the Decent Life Initiative as well as after COP27. Now, you've mentioned that mistakes would be made as well. So are we also not just carrying out and implementing the Decent Life Initiative, but also are we focusing on monitoring and managing whatever is achieved by the Decent Life Initiative, maintaining problem solving for the whole initiative, for all these programs? Are we also thinking and planning for sustaining all these initiatives and the process itself?
Again, of course, it will be very difficult to be only the responsibility of the local authorities or the villages, Majalis al-Qura, the village council. It will be very difficult to, to be responsible about this, but it will be much easier if you have, as I said, the collective responsibility by the different actors. So in this case, it will be because, now if, for example, if when I was young and my father supports me or helped me to, while I'm getting married, to get an apartment or to, to do something and bring me some equipment or whatever, because I'm his son and he was. But once I took the responsibility, I have to take care of my things. I will not go back and tell him, oh, this is not working, this is not, it will be my responsibility. So the ownership, the sense of ownership and the sense of partnership, that when it is established from the beginning, the follow-up and the maintenance of this will be much easier. It is an ongoing process, but if you establish the system that will be always having, the budget and the resources that will keep this going, because you cannot make anything forever. And if you paint it today, what is going to happen in 3-4 years?
Yes.
So the village's development process will keep things going, and then the village will, as I said, will be productive more than before, and they will have more resources. So this will help always the process to continue, and it will become like the normal life. If you go to a village 10 years ago in one of the developed countries and you go now, you will find it better. It's not that because they have a Decent Life Initiative, but because they have the system that is keeping and maintaining what they have achieved. So I think this is the way that we can keep our Decent Life Initiative. It is not a given. It is, the responsibility of everyone.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, as you've heard it from Dr. Adly, it is the responsibility of everyone, not just the government, not just the NGOs, not just the private sector, but each and every Egyptian citizen, not only the ones also living in the villages and the countryside, but changing the mentality, changing the way of life, thinking in a much more sustainable manner, thinking environmentally friendly behaviors, a green economy. A lot is hanging on the Decent Life Initiative, and a lot is also hanging on on achieving the sustainable development and the COP27 later this year. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this edition of the very special celebration of the Greater Berem feast in Egypt. But before we go, I'd like to thank my very distinguished guest, Dr. Emad Adly, the chairperson of the Egyptian Sustainable Development Forum. Dr. Adly, it's been a pleasure having you with us.
Same to me.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for more coming up on Nile International. I'm Henny Saif. Thank you for joining us.